financial tragedy strikes Critica County today, as law enforcement have yet to make any headway on the missing child.
So you're asking me to go off this theory you got about a white married male who happens to be a father and secretly running around, cramming objects, animals, and children up his ass. Then he somehow digests them, and he does this in sprees, almost in serial killer fashion. Is that about it?
Uh-huh.
Firstly, Rare Delicacies is back. And I'm sorry it's been so long since we've done Rare Delicacies. I really have missed the show, and I've missed you, David. And I think I think the principal reason why I've missed Rare Delicacies is that everyone's had this where there's movies that you keep being told you have to watch, but it always seems so odd, and it never seems like to be your cup of tea, and it never seems like a movie that you want to that you're ever going to have the incentive to watch. I love doing the show for having the incentive to watch anything that I never thought I'd ever watch before. I never would have watched Forbidden Zone without your provocation. I never would have thought about Phantom of the Paradise without Closet Land. I never would have thought of Frankenhooker without Logan. I never would have thought that I'd ever run into a movie about a guy who places people up his ass. I can't even finish my sentence, but I never thought in my life, except for the sake of Rare Delicacies, for Halloween no less, that we would get a movie such as Butt Boy. Butt Boy, yes. This movie came out just this year, like earlier this year.
Last year. Came out in 2019.
2019? Okay, fair enough. Either way, it's a fairly recent release. Now, normally with a title called Butt Boy, you're going to assume that it's one of those low-rate movies that has like a bad critical rating, but we're saying no, this movie has a 70% percentage rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 67% audience appreciation. Yeah, we're kind of David, how are you doing over there? How you doing over there?
I don't know. I think part of me will never quite be back from this. I've seen a lot of films. I've seen a lot of really weird films. This one, I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless about this movie.
Okay, so let's help everyone catch up. Okay,
yeah.
Butt Boy was directed by Tyler Cornack, and I don't know the background on the movie. I have not gotten a chance to look up some of the trivia on it, but all right. The synopsis is as follows. We meet, in the very beginning of the film, we meet a man named Chip, who is something of a curmudgeon, has a life that he's not particularly happy with. He has a wife who he's kind of stuck with after he knocked her up. So they have a kid. It's an unhappy marriage. What you see is that he's fixated on random things, and the random things start disappearing.
Have you seen the remote?
No.
Even to the point where a child winds up going missing. And this is the beginning of the movie, and it goes on for like about a good 15 minutes, I think. I didn't time it, but
then
we get to and then
we get the opening credits.
At this juncture, we still don't know exactly what the deal is. We definitely know that Chip has something to do with these items and children going missing. Before the title card drops, we see him hanging himself, or attempting to hang himself. But then it jumps ahead 9 years, and we meet Russell Fox, a alcoholic police officer who's on the outs with his wife, and for reasons that you find out in due course. And he's going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and his sponsor is Chip.
Of course.
Yes, of course. Well, gradually, they start forming something of a bond, but ultimately, Russell becomes suspicious of Chip when another child goes missing. Through some pretty damn astute detective work on the part of Russell, he finds at the scene dingleberries.
You know, I want to comment on this because this is the first time in my life I've ever seen dingleberries used as a plot point.
Yeah, dingleberries as a plot point. And not only that, but given the proper dramatic weight that they entail as far as they imply for the progression of the plot. But
Yeah.
they actually have the right dramatic music, the right dramatic lighting, the right dramatic camera work to convey that things are happening and that this leads Russell to the conclusion that Chip is shoving things up his ass.
Yes.
Including full-size people. I can't go on. I can't fucking go on.
This is... It's exactly what it says on the tin.
Well, I would say that, but there were things I just was not expecting with this movie. First off, the major thing that immediately told me that this movie was genius was the fact that normally, with a scenario such as this, the inclination for most inferior filmmakers would be to make this as blue-collar a comedy as possible. You know, if Adam Sandler had a premise like this, it would be lowbrow jokes all the way through.
Yeah, and they didn't go... I gotta give them credit. They did not do any of that.
No,
they play this completely freaking straight.
Yeah, there's no mugging to the camera. There's no... I can't. There's no like cheap jokes, no ass jokes, just full-blown human drama played completely straight. It just happens to be about a guy who's
shoving things up his butt.
who's shoving things up his ass.
Yeah.
And there's a whole underlying theme of coming to terms with addiction in here, in a way, because on one side you've got Russell Fox, who is an alcoholic, but you have Chip, who's also in this alcoholics, but they don't think he's an alcoholic, but I think really what he's addicted to is shoving things up his ass.
Oh, yes. I agree. And he went to AA. I think he went to AA to try to stop from...
He tried to associate his addiction to this to alcoholism.
Well, to be fair, it's a little hard to find a... Mix up your
ass play anonymous, you know.
Yeah, maybe it exists. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But
yeah, they can't do it. The acting, first off, the acting in this film is top notch. The acting is amazing in this movie. And the reason why, and I'm not just saying that because the actors are committed to their performance, but the fact that I can only imagine how many takes they went through on a scene-by-scene basis without losing their shit with laughter.
I mean, they never crack a smile. Yeah, nothing.
Not a single cracked smile.
I want to give a particular shout out to the police chief.
Yeah.
He was only in 3 scenes in less than 5 minutes of the movie. And we're laughing, but he's played so completely and utterly straight that wow.
This police chief's face might as well have been a Yes album cover. It was so still.
Yeah.
I swear to Grace. He was so stoic and so deadpan. And I'm just, because all right, just again, context. Context is key to understanding our feelings on this. But in this scene, Russell has come to the conclusion that Chip is shoving things up his ass and abducting children up his ass. And he's trying to convince his chief about this. And the chief is keeping it completely dead straight, does not emote, doesn't do anything. He is Easter fucking Island.
Yeah. He says, so you think this is happening? Yes. It's like... This movie's broken.
I want a blooper reel. I want a blooper reel of this movie so bad.
I have nothing but the highest praise for this movie. I recommend everybody see it.
This is.
I'm not sure you'll thank me, but I'm not sure. Just when I think it's like they're not actually going to go, that they went there. There was a point where I was saying, okay, there's a question I really do not want to ask, but holy crap, they're going to answer it.
The makings of a great movie, any kind of premise, whether it be a basic premise or a out of your fucking mind premise, it comes to naught if they can't develop it to its peak, if they don't mine the potential for it to its peak. Oh my God, do they mine this premise to its peak? And it takes you beyond the levels that you thought a movie, particularly one with this, what I can only imagine to be probably not a big budget. But
no, definitely not. I mean, come on, look at the sets.
But you're still surprised that that they were able to take you as far as they do, and they make it work.
And another shout out to the music.
Yes.
They really, I mean, the music was, I don't know, it didn't deserve to be that good for this. I mean, it didn't deserve to be that good for the film. It was just, God, this movie. It's like, it's almost, yeah, I think you said it best earlier. You expect them to take this as low as they can, and they took it as high as they can instead, and it freaking works. Yeah, and I think the brilliance of it wasn't just in the acting either, the camera work. They were going 1970s serious tone grindhouse filmmaking, the color palettes that they choose, the color grades they're using, even the grade of film. The founder just recently reviewed the Velocipaster, and they openly said one of the joys of that was a way that they actually tried their best to recreate the Grindhouse feel. And one thing I'm actually kind of happy about is that there seems to be a resurgence of popularity of the art style of Grindhouse. I wonder if it may have started with the movie Grindhouse, and then maybe Hobo with a Shotgun. But I think there's been this newfound fascination with that cinema style because it opens a lot of filmmakers up to a whole lot of really great visual concepts that we really kind of veered away from for a long time, but now we're kind of getting back to. And because they applied that to this movie, they were able to bring out the humor by playing it completely straight. There's so many times we were having laughing fits because we're so used to any other movie involving ass play just being like so obnoxious. But this one decides to just commit to it and just become, and to make it like this kidnapping thriller, or make it like this very dramatic, like almost like akin to movies like Narc, practically, as far as like how dramatic they're playing everything. I can't see this movie.
Yeah, the end is all boiling down to see this movie, but I don't know if I want to stop talking about it. That's how wild this fucking movie is. I heard about it. I read about it on a website or something like that, and I said, "Oh my God, this sounds terrible. I have to see it." And wow. Yeah, well, you came to me with this. I mean, neither of us have seen this. This is like the only, right next to Dark Harbor. This is the other time that we've just jumped right, actually, and Fantastic Planet, where we jumped right into a movie without having seen it on either side. And neither of us were prepared. I only saw the trailer when you initially recommended it a few months ago, but I wasn't prepared. Even the trailer didn't prepare me for what the fuck I was about to see. They don't play their trump card at the very beginning of the movie either. They gradually allude to it. I'm sad that the movie's called Butt Boy because, even though I can't think of a better title, because it would have been hilarious if they don't reveal that all these things going missing has anything to do with his ass. But because the movie's called Butt Boy, you're pretty sure that's what's happening here. They just gradually build up to it. And just when you think it's hit its peak, all of a sudden, no, goes further. Nope. Well, we were talking at one point. It's like, okay, so the movie's, oh no, there's 20 minutes left of this movie. Yeah, and they still had another level to go to that we did not
expect.
And then all of a sudden we're going into Pink Flamingo's territory. We're going into, you do the math on that if you know what I'm talking about. Or as Joe
If
Bob
you don't
Briggs
know, don't. Well, you'll figure it out,
or,
but yeah.
Or as Joe Bob Briggs would say, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Brass tacks. This is on the damn menu just because this is something that people need to see. This is that really weird, disgusting ass dish, or that looks disgusting at a first appearance, but when you eat it, it's one of the greatest culinary experiences of your life, and that you can't have more. It's a lot like when you initially have sushi and you're disgusted by the prospect of having raw fish, but then or like when you have like that little thing with the octopus tentacles hanging out, but then you eat it and it's really fucking good, and then you're like, I can't have enough of it.
Yeah.
That's
for me, it was eel.
This is exactly what Butt Boy is. We were prepared for it, and I want to be as cryptic as possible on this, so all of you can be unprepared for it. The major thing we could say, you go ahead, you take it.
I don't know if I can. All I can say is not okay. Look, you're right. Nothing we could say is really going to prepare you for this. It's an absolute must-watch. It's far better than it has any right to be.
As any movie called Butt Boy has.
See this film. Yeah.
Just see it. This is widely available. Oh God, widely available. God damn it. Thank you. It's actually available on Amazon streaming. It's available with Prime, so it's wide open to the masses. If you're bored of the typical quarantine viewing, there you go. And I'm going to make it my mission that people know about this movie. Because that is what Rare Delicacies is about, damn it.
Amen.
Closet Land, Femme of the Paradise, Butt Boy. These are movies that need to be known about.
That is not a sentence I'd ever thought I'd hear.
I'm willing to place it in horror. It's definitely, I'd say.
Oh yeah, it's definitely horror.
Definitely horror. Body horror, I'd say, is a pretty apt description. This is definitely the kind of thing I would picture something from maybe early David Lynch, like Eraserhead David Lynch, or definitely Cronenberg. This is definitely something I would imagine Cronenberg, if he was willing to go with this territory. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he gave James Woods a stomach vagina, so I mean, anything's possible. So,
see this film. Yep.
Like, share, subscribe, click. That should be served. Fuck it.
Turn around.